At my girlfriend's birthday dinner, I paid for everything, dinner, drinks, venue. When I stepped into the hall to grab my jacket from, I heard voices in the private room next door. I heard one of her friends ask, "What if he proposes tonight?" She laughed loudly and said, "Then I'll let him get on his knees, look pathetic, and I'll brutally dump him right there. He deserves it for thinking he's even in my league." Another friend giggled. "You have to record it," she replied. "Already told my cousin to film the whole thing." I walked back in, smiling, served dessert like nothing happened. The next morning, they got a surprise they never saw coming. 3 days later, I got messages from her friends. "Please, she's begging to fix this. She hasn't eaten in 2 days, just let her apologize. Please don't ruin her life over one mistake." So I've never actually posted here before, but I've been lurking for a while, and I just have to get this off my chest. FR, I don't know if I'm looking for advice or just validation. Maybe both. Maybe neither. Whatever. I'm writing this out on my phone while I can still remember every little thing. BCNGL. I'm still pretty pissed and probably will be for a while. Some quick context first before people ask. I'm not some rich dude or anything, but I've been saving up for a bit, and my girlfriend Eliana's birthday is a huge deal to her. Like, she literally starts talking about it in March, and her B-Day is in June. Every year it's got to be more elaborate. Last year was a midsummer thing, and this year she wanted a locked room murder mystery dinner with a bunch of her friends. Not even my idea. She picked the place, picked the theme, made a stupidly long group chat, and then basically expected me to just IDK make it all happen. She's not a bad person, just IDK kinda always wanted to be the main character, if that makes sense. She likes attention, she likes being the it girl, and her friends are kinda the same way. I don't hang with them much outside her events, BC. They never really made an effort with me. And I get the vibe I'm more like set dressing than anything else. I know some of you are already thinking I'm an idiot for putting up with that, but it's one of those things where you don't really see it until it's in your face. Anyway, the dinner. It's at this place where you get a private dining room, kind of like an escape room, but with food and clues, and you have to solve some murder mystery together. She invited like 16 people. I paid for the room, the dinner, drinks, the whole thing. I didn't even blink. I wanted her to feel special, you know? I even got her this custom necklace she wanted, spent ages finding the right one, and I wrapped it up in this little box with a note. Not a proposal, just a gift. But I know her friends love gossiping about that stuff, so I made sure not to make it weird. From the minute we got there, I could tell something was off. Not like horror movie off, just little stuff. Her friend Kathleen wouldn't even look at me, and her cousin was glued to her phone the whole time. Eliana kept stepping out to take calls and coming back with this fake smile, and every time I tried to talk to her, she'd brush it off like she was busy. I figured maybe she was just stressed, or maybe her friends were being annoying, but I started getting this weird itch like I was out of the loop and everyone else was in on something. Weirdest thing, though, was how hard she was trying to make everything look perfect. She kept fixing her hair, checking her lipstick and her phone camera, and asking everyone to take group photos every 10 minutes. Like, she wanted this night to be super Instagrammable or something. I was mostly just keeping my head down, trying to play along, and making sure the venue staff had what they needed. At one point in the middle of the main course, she asked me if I could grab her jacket from the hall, because she was cold. Not a big deal, but the way she said it was weirdly formal, like she was on stage or something. I just nodded and got up, figuring maybe she wanted a second alone with her friends. I stepped out into the hallway, and as I was walking past the next private room, the walls are thin, like partitions, probably not soundproof at all. I heard this burst of laughter, like, not polite laughter, more like someone just dropped the world's best inside joke. And I recognized Eliana's laugh. BC, it's loud and kind of fake when she's trying to impress people. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, I swear, but I stopped for a sec. BC, I heard my name. I could hear Kathleen's voice and she was joking about what if I proposed tonight. And then there was this pause, and Eliana just, like, lost it. She said something like, if he actually did, I'd let him get on his knees and look pathetic. Then I'd dump him right there. Said I deserved it for thinking I was even in her league. Then someone else, sounded like her cousin, I think, started giggling and said, you have to record it. And Eliana said she already told her cousin to get it all on video. They were all laughing, like, not even pretending to be nice. I just stood there. Not gonna lie, I felt like someone hit me in the stomach. I know people joke around, but it wasn't even that. She sounded dead serious. Her voice had this edge to it, like she was actually enjoying the idea of humiliating me. And the worst part was, her friends weren't even shocked. They were eating it up, hyping her up, like it was the funniest thing in the world to imagine me on my knees or whatever. I kind of just shut down for a second. Had this flash of, am I crazy? Did I miss some joke? Is this really happening? I literally checked my phone to see if someone texted me about a prank or something, but nope, just me, her jacket in my hand, and my name getting dragged for sport in the next room. I don't really remember walking back in, but I did. I know I was smiling, or at least trying to. I handed her the jacket and she barely looked at me, just tossed it over her chair and went back to talking to her friends. I sat down, finished my food. I watched her all night and she never once looked guilty or awkward. If anything, she was glowing. Like she was living for the attention. Her cousin kept pulling out her phone to take videos, and at one point, Eliana actually winked at her. I served dessert. I paid for the extra drinks her friends ordered. They ordered way more than we planned, but whatever. I just signed the bill. I gave her the necklace. She barely said thank you, just hugged her cousin and started opening gifts from her friends. I tried not to make a scene, BC. I knew that's exactly what she wanted. If I snapped, I'd look like the unhinged one and she'd get to play the victim in front of her whole group. So I kept it together, and I just watched. I watched her friends get drunk, watched them take group pics with her in the middle, watched her make some speech about real friends, and how grateful she was for everyone being there. On the way out, Kathleen bumped into me and just kind of looked through me, like I didn't exist. I held the door for everyone, waited for Eliana to say something, but all she did was laugh and say, "See you at the after party," and then she was gone. Her cousin slammed the car door and I stood there in the parking lot for a second, just staring at the receipt in my hand. I drove home alone, didn't even bother texting her to say goodnight. Spent the whole drive replaying everything in my head, trying to figure out when I became a punchline. I kept thinking, maybe I imagined it. Maybe I misheard. But nah, I know what I heard. And the more I thought about it, the more pissed I got. Not just at her, but at myself for letting it get this far. I did everything for her, and she couldn't even pretend to respect me for one night. I didn't sleep. I just laid there, scrolling through her Instagram, looking at all the stories from the night, all these perfect pics of her smiling, surrounded by friends, tagging me with a little "thanks for making it happen, babe," like I was her event planner and not her boyfriend. So here's where I'm at. I'm not about to let this go. I know she thinks she's untouchable, that she's got all her friends on her side, that she's the queen bee, and I'm just lucky to orbit her or whatever. But she's wrong. I've already got a plan, and it's not going to end with me looking pathetic. I'll tell you that much. I'll update if anyone wants to hear how this goes. Trust me, it's not going to be pretty. Update 1. So I wasn't even going to update this right away, but I woke up and honestly, it's just too much to keep in my own head. Can't really talk to my brother about it. He'd just say dump her and move on. End of story. And my mom would probably just ask what I did wrong. LOL, classic. I gotta put this somewhere. I'm still pissed, but Angel, there's something almost funny about how obvious everything felt in hindsight. Like I was the only one not reading the script right. Woke up to this text from Eliana. All hearts and good mornings like nothing happened. She says had so much fun last night. Can't wait for next year. Hope my head isn't hurting after all those drinks. I literally had one cider, but okay. I just stared at my phone for a sec, then put it face down. I don't really feel anything for a minute, just this blank space. Then I remember what she said, how she'd let me get on my knees and dump me, that I'm not in her league. And it's like, nah, I'm not doing this pretend it's fine thing. I didn't reply. I got up, made coffee, sat at my kitchen table just scrolling through all the Insta stories from last night. She posted a bunch, obviously. Her blowing out candles, hugging her cousin, opening gifts, making that fake little speech. There's one where she's actually holding the necklace I gave her and she says, "Thanks for making me feel so special." And her friends are all hyping her up in the comments. No mention of me, except a half tag on one group pic, buried under 5 emoji. IDKY. But that got to me more than anything else. Like, I'm literally invisible unless she needs me to pay for something. So whatever. I start making a list just to get my head straight. I go through the group chat, check who was there last night, who actually RSVP'd, who bailed, cousin, Julian, Kathleen, Emily, some friends from college I didn't even know, and then a few randoms who just come for the vibes. I start thinking about the bill. I paid for the room up front, but at the end of the night, her friends kept ordering more drinks and bottles. And the venue just put it all on my tab. BC Eliana told them to. She even said, "It's all covered. Just let us celebrate." While I was in the bathroom, I only found out BC the waiter gave me the full printout to sign, and I almost choked at the number. I signed anyway. I mean, what's the play? Start a fight in front of her whole squad? Nah, I just kept it moving. But here's where it starts getting interesting. The venue calls me around noon. Woman on the line says there's an issue with the bill. Some items were disputed after I left, and a few of the guests tried to open a second tab under my name for the after party. I tell her I didn't authorize that. She says okay, but now there's an extra $200 on the hold for damages, and they need me to confirm or dispute. I ask her what damages. She says someone broke a vase in the private room and someone spilled wine all over the couch in the lounge area. Staff had to clean it up, and it's all on me unless I say otherwise. I'm already annoyed at this point, so I ask her to send me the itemized bill and I'll review it. She agrees, but she sounds stressed. Guess this isn't the first time they've had to deal with a group like ours. I look at the charges and see that after I left, they ordered another round of drinks and a bottle of something expensive, plus the damages. I call her back and tell her straight up I'm not paying a cent for anything after I left, and that I want to dispute the charges. She says, okay, it'll go to Eliana, as she was the party contact. I say, perfect. Then, I go back to the group chat, the one Eliana started for her birthday squad. I scroll up and see her cousin Julian had been asking if anyone got good video last night. Someone, pretty sure Kathleen, says, I got the part where Bruce brought in the dessert. Cousin says, that's not the clip we want. There's a string of laughing emojis and then nothing for a while. I'm just sitting there thinking, wow, they really were planning something. I don't know if they were hoping for a proposal or just wanted me to make a fool of myself, but either way, it's gross. I get this idea. Call it petty. IDC. I DM Julian and say, hey man, Eliana said you got some good video last night. Can you send me the clips? He doesn't reply for like an hour. Then he says, oh, I just have some group shots, nothing special. I say, cool. Can you send anyway? Eliana wants to make a TikTok. He leaves me on read. By this point, I know he's hiding something, or maybe Eliana told him to keep it quiet. Either way, I'm not letting this slide. Meanwhile, I get a message from the venue again, this time saying the unpaid bill is now in Eliana's name and they'll be contacting her about the damages. I don't reply, just forward the email to Eliana with a thumbs up. 5 minutes later, she texts me. What's this about the bill? I say. I left early. Wasn't my mess. She says, but you said you'd handle it. I say, I handled what I was there for. Anything after is on you. She doesn't reply. I put my phone down and go for a walk just to cool off. When I get back, I see the group. Chat is blowing up. Her friends are complaining about the venue asking for money, saying they got overcharged, that the place is a scam. Someone, Emily, I think, says she's not paying for someone else's mess. Eliana tries to calm everyone down, but she's clearly losing control of the situation. I'm not in the chat anymore. She kicked me out, but I see the notifications on my phone for a while before it goes quiet. So I start thinking about the necklace. I call the place I ordered it from, they're local, not some chain, and ask if it's shipped. They say no, it's waiting for pickup. I tell them I need to cancel the order, the event was canceled. Woman says she'll check, and after a minute she says, okay, she'll refund my card, minus a small fee for the engraving. I say fine, whatever. So Eliana's not getting the necklace now either. Here's the part that gets me. I post a warning in a private Facebook group for local event organizers, not naming names, just saying if you see a group with a birthday dinner for a woman named Eliana with a big squad, watch out. They'll stick you with damages and extra bills. I drop a few details so people know it's not just a fake review. Within an hour, I get 3 DMs from people saying they've had similar issues with birthday girls and big friend groups, not naming Eliana, but I can connect the dots. I don't reply, just let it sit. I get home, sit on my couch, and go through her Instagram again. She hasn't posted since this morning, but her cousin's story from last night is gone. I check his page and see he's blocked me. LOL, okay? Kathleen posts a meme about men who think they're special and tags Eliana. Real subtle. I guess they think I'm just gonna roll over and pay for their mess, then disappear. Nah. By the end of the day, Eliana texts again. She asks if we can talk. I say, about what? She says, about last night. I say, I already talked to the venue. It's your problem now. She sends me a wall of text about being embarrassed in front of her friends, how I'm making her look bad, how I'm being mean for no reason. I don't even read the whole thing. I just reply, you wanted to be the center of attention, congrats. I hear from Emily later too. She DMs me and says she's sorry for how things went down. She didn't know the plan, she just wanted to have fun. I say, sure, but you were laughing along with everyone else. She says, not really, I just didn't want to make it awkward. I say, whatever. Hope the after-party was worth it. She leaves me on read. I don't know if anyone else would have done what I did, but I'm not about to be the guy who gets humiliated and then foots the bill for it too. I'm not doing her dirty work anymore. If she wants to be the queen bee, she can pay for her own honey. I'm done playing. Next step? I'm not done yet, not by a long shot. If her friends think this is over, they're about to find out I'm not just some pushover. I don't care if they slam doors or talk trash about me in the group chat. I'm not backing down. We'll update if things get even messier, which, TBH, I'm kinda expecting. Update 2. Alright, buckle up, BC, if you thought the last part was wild. This one's got more drama and less patience. NGL, I'm tired, and I know I shouldn't care, but I do. And yeah, I'm still mad, but now it's like a cold, steady thing, instead of just being hot and embarrassed. You ever get so done with someone that you're just efficient about it? That's where I'm at. So after I dropped the bill on Eliana and canceled the necklace, things got real weird, real fast. I guess I thought maybe she'd just ghost me. Or maybe she'd come crawling with some half-baked apology, but nope, she went on the offensive. I started getting these guilt-trippy texts from her like, you embarrassed me in front of everyone, and you're making such a big deal out of nothing. And literally, you're being petty. She even threw in a, maybe you should grow up. Like it was my job to take her public humiliation and then say thank you. What really set me off, though, was how her friends all circled the wagons. Kathleen dropped some passive-aggressive posts about guys who can't take a joke, and Julian, the cousin, started spamming the group chat about how if you're going to be that sensitive, maybe you shouldn't party with us. Like, am I supposed to be the clown for their TikTok or what? I started to realize how much of this was about her keeping her queen bee status, and how her friends were all in on it for their own clout. I know Eliana's always liked being the center of attention, but this was next level. Like, she needs everyone to see her winning, even if it means setting me up as the loser. The first escalation was the group chat. My phone was blowing up. I kept seeing my name pop up even though I was kicked out. Emily actually DM'd me, not even pretending to be chill, and asked if I could just say sorry to Eliana so she'd stop crying. She said it's not that deep, it was just a joke, and now the whole thing is messy. I told her, if it's not that deep, why is she so desperate? Emily said, I don't know. She just hates looking stupid, and now her mom's asking what happened. I said maybe she should have thought about that before turning her birthday into a roast. Eliana's cousin tried calling me too, but I didn't pick up. I shot him a text asking if the video from the dinner was still floating around, and if it accidentally got posted, I'd let everyone know exactly what was said. He left me on read. I don't think they expected me to push back at all. Like IDK, maybe they thought I'd just slink away and never say anything. People like Eliana, they get used to people letting stuff slide. I started noticing a bunch of mutuals unfollowing me on Instagram, which was honestly fine. I posted a story that was just, sometimes you gotta pay attention to who was laughing, and left it at that. Not really my style, but I was in a mood. I started hearing from people who weren't even there, like Eliana's old friends, asking what happened and if it was true that I trashed the venue and stuck her with the bill. I told them to ask her. She's the one who wanted a scene. The next day, Eliana showed up at my place. Didn't text first, just knocked. I opened the door and she was already angry, not sad. She said, so you're just gonna ignore me and make me look bad in front of everyone? I said, you did that to yourself. She pushed past me into the kitchen, slammed her purse on the table and started going off about how I embarrassed her, how her friends are talking, how her mom is asking what I did to upset her. I said, you wanted a scene. Here you go. She slapped my arm. Not hard, but just enough to make a point. I backed up and told her to leave. She said, you're such a coward, and went for the door. Hit it so hard it bounced off the wall. I didn't follow her out, just waited until I heard her car pull away. Later, I get a DM from one of the girls who didn't come to the party saying, Eliana's telling everyone I cheated and that's why I bailed on the bill. So now the lie machine is running full speed. This is where I started to actually dig in. I texted the venue and said if anyone tries to use my name for any future bookings, to flag it. I don't want my info tied to her or her friends. The owner replied that they'd already banned her group for trashing the room and refusing to pay the damages. So, social consequences, I guess. That night, I get another message from Emily, this time more desperate. She says Eliana's losing it. Her cousin is threatening to post the video if she doesn't pay him back for the drinks, and the group chat is now just everyone blaming each other for the mess. Kathleen is mad because she had to pay for her own Uber. Someone else is saying Eliana promised she'd cover everything. It's a mess. Honestly, I just feel a little satisfaction at this point. I told Emily, not my problem. You all set this up. You all can fix it. My mom called too because I guess Eliana's mom reached out to her. Yeah, that's a thing now. My mom asked if I was okay. Said she heard I caused drama at a birthday party. I couldn't even be mad, she sounded so confused. I told her, don't worry, I'm fine, just not dealing with that girl anymore. She said, people always show you who they are even if you don't want to see it. Mom stuff, you know? I kept things moving, blocked Julian on everything, told the group chat I was done, left it, and took myself out of all their social. I saw Kathleen at the grocery store 2 days later and she just glared at me. I nodded at her and kept walking. No one's gonna fight me in public. They just like to talk. The fallout's still spreading. Eliana's side of the friend group is eating itself alive. Everyone's blaming someone else for why the party sucked, why the bill didn't get paid, why the video almost leaked. I'm sitting at home, watching it all from a distance. I know I sound cold, but after all that, I don't even have any patience left. I tried to play nice, they wanted a show, they got one. And before anyone asks, I don't care if she eats or not. I don't care if she's crying to her friends, and I honestly don't care what her mom thinks of me. I'm just glad I finally stopped being the one who pays and gets laughed at for. If you want to see what happens when you mess with the nice guy, this is it. Probably one more update left in me because I don't think they're done yet. But I'm not backing down. I'm not your clown. Final update. So yeah, it's been 3 days, and honestly, I didn't even plan to update again, but the stuff coming through my phone right now is next level. If you've been following this mess, you know I'm not usually the type to air things out online, but FR, I'm not letting them spin it like I'm the villain here. Geel, I'm still angry, but now it's more like, wow, I really dodged a bullet. Woke up this morning to like 8 missed messages, and I'm not talking just from Eliana. Her friends, her cousin, even her mom's number. Didn't even know she had my number TBH. I guess they're all on some kind of save Eliana mission now, which is hilarious considering 3 days ago they were all laughing about how she was going to roast me at her party. Now it's all, please talk to her. She hasn't eaten. Let her apologize. You're ruining her life. A bunch of messages like that stacked up in my notification. I started reading through some of them just for laughs. Kathleen sent this long paragraph about how Eliana is truly sorry and just made a mistake. Then a text from Julian asking if I could be the bigger person and let her explain. Emily's message was the wildest though. She said, bro, she's actually not eating. She's crying nonstop. Just let her say sorry and promise not to do it again. I'm just sitting there thinking, not one of these people said anything to me the night it happened. All they cared about was making sure their own image looked good and not getting blamed for the fallout. Now they want me to be the therapist or something? Eliana herself didn't text until later. She went with the all-caps apology first, then a bunch of broken-up messages about how she never meant it, and people were pressuring her, and things got out of hand. She said she couldn't face her friends. Her cousin is threatening to post the video if she doesn't pay him back for stuff, and everyone is blaming her for the venue blacklisting them. She says she's ruined, and I should at least let her explain so she can move on. I didn't reply. I read every word, but I'm not about to play the role of the guy who gets humiliated and then helps her rehab her reputation. She had her chance to talk to me like a human. She chose to talk about me like I was a joke. To people who were more than happy to join in. Not my problem if the group chat's on fire now. And just to make it even messier, I got a call from the venue manager. They wanted to confirm that I wasn't responsible for the damages and that the other tab wasn't mine. I told them, yeah, I left before any of that happened, and I'm not paying a cent for it. The manager said they'd been trying to get a hold of Eliana, but she kept dodging their calls and trying to blame it on her boyfriend. I said, not anymore, and hung up. My mom texted around noon asking if I was okay because apparently Eliana's mom is now telling people I abandoned her daughter at the party and caused all this drama. I told my mom the bare minimum, just that things ended badly and I wasn't going to be dragged into it. She said, you do what you need to do. I just want you to be all right. Classic mom response. Honestly, I get why her friends are freaking out. Their little queen bee party circle is falling apart because they finally ran into someone who didn't just take the L and walk away. People like Eliana, they're used to being able to control the story. When you take that away from them, they panic. Julian's threatening to post some exclusive footage, but I already told him if he does, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what was said, not just the edited version. I know they're all scared of looking bad in public. That's literally their whole personality, looking good online. Everyone thinking they're perfect. I heard through Emily, she's still trying to play both sides, that Kathleen and Eliana got into a screaming match on the street outside some brunch spot. Kathleen pushed Eliana and Eliana slapped her back. Guess that's what happens when nobody's left to blame but themselves. Emily asked if I wanted to meet up to talk it over, and I just said nah, not interested. The only bit of me that feels anything about this is just kind of baffled at how fast the whole squad turned on each other. 3 days ago, they were bragging about being real friends, and now they're all blocking each other or posting vague stories about betrayal. Meanwhile, I'm just chilling, doing my regular stuff, and if anything, I feel lighter. Like I just took the trash out and it took itself all the way down the street. For everyone who's been DMing me about whether I'll ever forgive her or take her back, I'll say it right here. Not a chance. I don't care if she's crying, not eating, or whatever. You treat people like dirt, eventually, it comes back around. I didn't even have to do anything crazy, just stop letting her and her friends use me. So yeah, I guess that's the end of it. I'm not going to fix her life, not going to play nice for her friends. I stood my ground and for once, didn't let anyone guilt me for it. I know some of y'all think I went too far, but honestly, I did what I had to do. I'm not the villain here, and I'm not your doormat. Anyway, that's all I got. If you ever end up in a situation like this, remember, you don't owe anyone your dignity, no matter how many times they say sorry after the fact. Sometimes the best revenge is just not playing along anymore.